This is Bob, a volunteer docent at Red Bank Battlefield Park in National Park, New Jersey, with another in our continuing series of looking at weapons and equipment that would have been used in the American Revolution by American troops, and in particular, things that might have been used during the Battle of Red Bank. And what we're going to focus on today are American ammunition containers. And like virtually every other aspect of American equipment, the American Army, the Continental Army, and the militia had to sort of make up their solutions to their needs as time went on. So let's begin. We're going to look at two original examples and one reproduction. One of the original examples is something that would have been very familiar to a great many Americans prior to and during the American Revolution. And what this is a rifleman's ammunition bag, sometimes known as a hunting bag. And all it is a leather bag made out of, in this case, deer skin, with some cow leather in terms of the back. And you can see some of the deer skin apparently is still, the hair of the deer skin is still affixed in places where the deer skin was used, probably as decoration for this hunting bag, together with a leather strap and a powder horn. This is something that many American hunters would have used, and so it became natural that when the American Revolution broke out, this is a piece of equipment that would have been brought, and it became almost the most common American ammunition carriage for riflemen in the American Revolution. With the coming of the American Revolution, a hunting bag using loose gunpowder and ball would simply not have been an acceptable solution for most American infantry who would have been trained to fight in formations of lines with smoothbore muskets that concentrated on rapid fire and volley fire, firing all together. And so from the rifleman's bag, the developments that took place were to adopt a more or less European style cartridge box, which many American militia would have had some exposure to during particularly the 7 Years' War, or what we call in America the French and Indian War of the 1750s, early 60s period. And so many Americans would have used early in the Revolution, and really through it, a cartridge box like this, totally made of leather, with readily available materials, the leather itself, a wood block drilled to accept pre-formed, pre-wrapped paper cartridges that contained bullet and gunpowder, a stout leather cover to try to keep the cartridges dry in wet weather, and some appurtenances, a brush and pick to help keep the lock of the musket clean and functioning. But more about them in a future piece. This sort of a cartridge box would have been very familiar, as I say, to American militia and Continental troops. The troops who fought in the Battle of Red Bank on October 22nd, 1777, would have each been issued a box very much like this, or have had some container that was reasonably similar for their cartridges as they fought. Now, this particular type of cartridge box is sometimes known as a bag cartridge box because of the fact that the leather forms a bit of a satchel underneath. For all the world, when it's closed, this resembles a modern purse. And take out the cartridge box and the bag would have collapsed in on itself. So underneath there would have been room for extra flints, perhaps gun tools, perhaps cartridge paper. And one could easily imagine rapid fire being possible with a cartridge box like this because of the easy access it gives to the paper-wrapped cartridges. Now, as time goes on, the Continental Congress is going to look into the problems that were inherent in these bags and boxes. And so by about 1779, the Congress is going to authorize a deceptively similar looking but slightly different type of cartridge box. This is an original example, and This one will be called the new model, or the modern cartridge box, which is really going to set the pattern for the first official cartridge boxes that are developed for the United States Army in the very late 1700s, up to and including the landmark Model 1808 cartridge box. This type of cartridge box, which would have been slightly different over the period of years or depending on where made. This cartridge box also features a block drilled for paper cartridges. Usually the number of cartridges it held would have gone somewhere from 19 to about 29, 24 being a fairly typical number. And you see that there is a leather cover in this original cartridge box. There's a leather implement pouch to carry gun tools or other items that might be needed. But you'll see that it's a square configuration. The bag bottom is missing. This is altogether a neater, more compact, and probably more watertight sort of arrangement. This particular example has a linen shoulder strap, which is very typical of the earliest period of cartridge box. So this is generally known during the Revolutionary period as the new model cartridge box, as opposed to the bag or first model cartridge box. Both of these being successors to the more or less homemade rifleman's bag or hunting bag, which was the first box that we looked at today. So there are some examples of the sorts of cartridge boxes that would have been used in the American Revolution. And as we go further on into our look at American weapons and equipment, we'll be looking at some of the weapons that these cartridge boxes were developed to serve. Thank you.